As Parliament debates Operation Sindoor, there were many speakers, many points of view. You can't change the facts, but some comments were made within Parliament that force us to ask if some of our parliamentarians actually understand warfare or what happens during a war. I have with us on this podcast on republicworld.com Group Captain Augustine Vinod, who's a Kargil War veteran. He's been a fighter pilot during the Kargil War. One of the first comments made yesterday by a speaker who is also the leader of opposition said with certainty, Group Captain Vinod, that 5 jets were shot down. And I wonder, where did he get that number from?
Till date, Niranjan, not even one single official confirmation of the numbers have been given, including by the CDS. CDS said there were some losses, but remember, pause button has been pressed in Operation Sindoor, and rightly so. If people think Operation Sindoor is over, it is not. For 3 reasons, I'll tell you, Niranjan, that Operation Sindoor is not over. First and foremost, it was officially stated that it is a pause. Secondly, the Foreign Minister said on the floor of the Parliament that dismantling terror infrastructure is the stated aim. It was not dismembering Pakistan or complete annihilation of Pakistan like Israel is doing to Palestine, or any other stated aim of the war where we are saying we are going to completely eradicate the Pakistan army or bring Pakistan army or armed forces to its knees. That was not the stated aim. The stated aim is to dismantle. The stated aim is never spelled out in public. It is based on the objectives that the army achieves. People like us, that is retired personnel or media, we try to deduce the aim because stated aim is always kept a top secret. It is part of the top secret document. Very rarely I have heard stated aim being said so very publicly, which Dr. Jaishankar said so on the Parliament, that dismantling the terror infrastructure is the stated aim. Have we achieved that stated aim? Absolutely not. Has terrorist activities happened after that? Yes, it has. Which means this Operation Sindoor is on a pause. I must also tell the viewers there are many operations which are continuing for many, many years. Not many people know this. There are 2 operations for which I wear a medal. It's called Operation Meghdoot and Operation Rhino. Both are a continuing operation for many years. You can, in fact, research about it, and probably we can do a show separately on these operations. So there are operations which continue, and in my understanding, Operation Sindoor should and will also continue for some time to come till we completely dismantle the terror infrastructure. So then, that being the stated aim, whereas in achieving that aim, Niranjan, we need a certain objectives to be achieved, and the first objective was to hit the topmost or very well-known terror camps. And for the first time post 1971, for the first time, we have hit across the international border. We wanted to hit those targets earlier, but we couldn't do so due to whatever domestic pressure, political pressure, or the baggage that we carried, where even when Pakistan is shelled, you couldn't counter shell before you take permission from the highest office. Those baggage that we carried, carried on for a while, and this is the first time we have hit across the international border. And that, in my opinion, then if I was in the ruling party, I would have sold it like every day till cows come home. Maybe made a movie out of it. But I would to whatever credit or no credit, the ruling party, in this case the NDA, it did not sell that point very well, though it is most sellable point, hitting across IB post 1971 for the first time. And we hit with precision, and we hit with absolute surgical manner. And then very important, we chose the timing in a manner that collateral damage are completely avoided, or at least, I wouldn't say collateral damage may or may not have happened. It may have happened, but we chose a time where the collateral damage is least. So we have been, there's a term, quote unquote, called just war. So we've been fighting, we fought the just war, and we pressed the pause button. So, and we also went back and told them, look, this was my aim. I hit these 9 targets. I do not want to hit any of your military targets so that it doesn't escalate into a military confrontation. And you should be thankful that I did your job. See, Pakistan may be wanting to dismantle, by themselves wanted to dismantle these terror infrastructure, but couldn't do so due to domestic pressure. I understand that. I'm more than certain, Niranjan, that some of the um, people in the Pakistan armed forces may be a little uncomfortable having these terror infrastructures and factories within their bounds of nation. They themselves wanted it eradicated, and we did their job. If you ask me honestly, some of them may be thanking us.
So you made a point that maybe the government hasn't hammered home the point that they went across the IB, but they are. In fact, the Prime Minister, Defense Minister, and the External Affairs Minister have made mentions of us striking targets we have never struck before. For example, yesterday the Prime Minister at length spoke of how we hit air bases which hadn't even been thought of in the past, pre 2014, right? Now, this is something that has never happened before. Now, can you do that without giving your forces a free hand? Because one of the comments made by the opposition, including the leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha, was that the forces were not given a free hand. True or false?
Let me demystify this, Niranjan, by putting it very simply. The polity has its job, media has its job, and armed forces has its job. Media's job, I can't, armed forces don't do. Polity's job, media doesn't do, and vice versa. What happens is, and this I'm saying for the sake of viewers, what happens is when you have a problem statement, okay, the polity tells you, look, we need to give them an appropriate reply. What is your plan? So you go with your plans, multiple, and you sit down with the Cabinet Committee of Security or and with PMO and the other decision-making body at the highest level and work out the pros and cons of every plan and what will its strategic outcome will be, short term, medium term, and long term. It is as simple as that. And I'm saying this, Niranjan, with all humility and for the sake of viewers who need to understand this loud and clear. And being part of the planner myself and written war plan for Eastern Air Command, and I got presidential award for it. So with that as the background, I'm saying this. So when you go with the plan, you work out what are the strategic implications and what are the strategic achievements you will achieve with a particular plan A, B, C, D. Eventually, what you plan is E, because it could be a combination of all the plans that you took. In that, you only discuss the aim and the strategic implications, and that is it. How to execute, how to achieve is completely the job of armed forces. And in this case, absolutely no doubt about it. For the stated aim, total free hand was given. It is not that every tactical battle was controlled by PMO's officer, North Block, North South Block. No. So complete freedom of action was given, and that is how Air Force went ahead and did its tactical plan, strategic plan, and the small battles. It's like you must look at it like a Lego. So those Lego pieces are small battles on which you build a particular piece of the Lego, and on that you build a castle. So that is how we went ahead and achieved our stated aim. I would say partially, because it is A, pause, B, the terror infrastructures are still there and thriving or coming up in many places, rebuilding in many places where we hit them. So time will come when we will hit them again.
So when you say that an operation is ongoing, right? Technically, for the benefit of our viewers, right? Because the opposition says, and they were mocking that claim that it's still ongoing, right? Because you've served in the Air Force, can you explain what is an ongoing operation, the state of preparedness in an ongoing operation?
See, two things here. Firstly, when you say an operation is ongoing, like I told you before, there are certain operations which are ongoing and have been ongoing for many years. The one which I was mentioning, current ongoing operation in Siachen Glacier is an ongoing operation. They probably started when we were born or maybe before. So there are operations which are continuously ongoing. I feel Operation Sindoor is going to be one such operation where till we completely eradicate the terror infrastructure on the other side, we are not going to keep quiet. And thankfully, the pause button has been pressed. And thankfully, no one has said that this operation is over. Because the pause button has been pressed, two things happen. One, we will continuously evaluate what is building up across the border. So when you say the operation is over, then we are not continuously getting our human electronic intelligence and other intelligence to build up our target list. So we call it the target folder, something like this, a physical book. It is not a digital book. It's a physical book which we create for all the targets. And continuous updation of this folder happens from many intelligence sources, including the NIA and other sources that we have. So this is one aspect of when you say an ongoing operation. Second aspect of ongoing operation is training and equipping. I'm just giving an example. Certain targets, say in the northern regions of POK, maybe in a place where we may not have a weapon to hit it, like the deep penetrating bunker buster bomb, like the Moab or something. We don't have it because we at the till date we felt that we don't need it. Suppose if some target comes up there where we need this weapon, we will either buy them or we will either make them and train them, carry them. So these are two separate aspects of capacity and capability building that will continue as long as this operation continues, and which is a very, very important aspect, Niranjan, that our viewers and citizens need to understand. If they don't understand this, they will fall for what happened in Parliament yesterday. So if you don't have, I want to say it in Hindi, आपको इस बात को समझना होगा कि आप ये जो ऑपरेशन पॉज है इसमें टारगेट लिस्ट भी बनता है और कैपेबिलिटी बिल्डिंग भी बनती है ताकि हमें जब भी टारगेट हिट करने की जरूरत हो तो हम टारगेट हमारी तैयार है और वेपन अगर नहीं है तो प्रोक्योर करके तैयार करते हैं और जाकर के हिट करते हैं.
Wow. So you're saying some targets may still be pending, and that is why it's an ongoing operation.
Many targets
Many
are
targets.
pending.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm just asking you, from the perspective of a journalist, I'm very curious. We hit their air bases. Now, as a defense expert, a military analyst, what would those targets be, presume?
See, two things, Niranjan. Again, I want to demystify this and say it very clearly to our viewers. Firstly, let's talk about the terror targets. So, terror targets were Muzaffarabad, which is a known launch pad, the final training ground. There are 4 levels of training. So, on the 4th level of training is when the boys who pass from Bhavalpur, they come to Muridke. So, Bhavalpur is the place where they, the recruits, the initial recruits come in thousands. They come there and do their first 2-3 months of initial training. From there, they go to Muridke. Muridke is the IED factory. It is, people will not believe it. There are villages in Muridke where making of IED is a cottage industry. Women, children, they make IED there. So in Muridke, they learn other trade craft like how to plant an IED, how to arm an IED, etc., etc. And from there, they go to either a place called Chakamaru or Sialkot. One of these places they go, and there they learn something called unarmed combat. So if you don't have weapon, use the existing lay of the land weapons like sticks or knives, and they carry out those unarmed combats, escape, all those videos that you see. That happens in Chakmaru or Sialkot. From there, they come to Muzaffarabad, Kotli, I think Bimbargali and Gulpur. One of these places, they are sent in groups of 5 or 4. Buddies are made where they are given the advanced training, and these are also the launch pads, especially Muzaffarabad and Bimbargali during winters in Bimbargali, Muzaffarabad, Kotli, Gulpur in summers as well as winters, because it is the higher regions of Mughal Road, the road which comes into Hajipir via the valley, into the valley. So these are terror targets. So terror targets were the first ones we hit. But yesterday in the floor of the parliament, if you remember what Prime Minister said, a very important thing. Many people missed it. And in my opinion, that is probably the most important thing that we heard was J.D. Vance's call. J.D. Vance kept on trying to talk to PM for an hour, and the PM was busy at that time. When he spoke to J.D. Vance, what did J.D. Vance tell us? That there is a big attack coming. You remember that night? Recall that night. We hit them first. On J.D. Vance, जैसे हिंदी में कहते हैं ना, कुछ कह के भी नहीं कुछ कह गए, या नहीं कुछ कह के भी कुछ कह गए. He told us there is a big attack coming. We preempted them before they launched, and this is the most important aspect. Probably we can run a show after this, maybe with uh, with the boss down the road today, or maybe whenever you have time, you can discuss with him. This is a very important aspect. We hit them at those air bases before these, drove the attack against us. Maybe half an hour or 1 hour before. They were preparing. That is how they were caught with pants down, especially in Noor Khan, AWACS and stuff like that, that we hit. They were about to launch, which is what J.D. Vance told us, warned us about. And how did J.D. Vance warn us about? Because their boots on the ground of the CIA is there in every single base.
You're saying American boots on the ground in every single base?
Absolutely,
One
including
second.
Noor Khan.
Wait, I've heard, I mean, of course, speaking to military experts, I've gathered that, of course, American boots will be there because they have strategic interest in some of these bases because of their nuclear nature, etc. And they anticipated some situation with Iran, which is why they have a presence in Pakistan anyway. But you're telling me that there are Americans in almost every base in Pakistan.
Not almost, I think in every base of Pakistan. Because so much is invested by Americans in Pakistan is not even. Let me tell you, when this happened, I was in US. In this complete thing, I was in US. In fact, in some, yeah. And so some of these operations, I was sitting in DC. So remember, and it is for Indian mindset is difficult to understand. Therefore, I'm saying this. Americans demand, bang for the buck. Every American, if he is going to pay you $1 for this biscuit, he will demand $1 worth for this biscuit. So if he has put in money in Pakistan, he wants the accountability in the money that he has put in Pakistan, and there is not a single base that he has not put in money. So CIA officers and military presence is there in almost all bases of Pakistan. Bases that we hit, military installation that we hit. Skadu, preparing to attack, Srinagar, Avantipur, we hit them hard. Noor Khan, even their Prime Minister came up and said, Noor Khan base ko attack kar diya. Murid, which is also called Chakwal, we hit them. Sialkot, we hit both the airbase as well as the terror infrastructure. Sargodha is one of the, it is like Gwalior. It's one of the very big base. Their CCS, the Combat Commando School, which is the Top Gun equivalent school, like the TACD of Indian Air Force, is there in Sargodha. Sargodha itself is a very big base. That we hit them. Gujranwala hit them. It is a forward FOB, we call it, the forward operating base. And Okara, we hit them. Rafiki, another very important base. Rafiki, we hit them. Raimia Khan, RYK is still reeling under that attack, which we did that at that time. Sakar, Jacoboabad, and Bolari. Bolari, the amount of damage we carried out on them. So these are...
Pause, because my next question is linked to what you're saying next. American
Yeah,
boots on the ground in most Pakistani air bases, which are also being operated by the Chinese. How does that work?
that
So
is
Pakistan has
another...
Chinese and Americans in air bases.
there is another dichotomy there. Pakistanis have been very, very chatur in getting best out of both of them. When the Chinese equipment is stored in a base and American equipment are stored in a base, it is, for example, Sargodha, they are physically delineated from each other. So if you look at Sargodha, northwest of Sargodha is where the F-16s are housed. On the India side, that is the eastern side, on the north of the runway. You remember that Sargodha hit on the north of the runway, is where the J-17s and other aeroplanes are kept. Personnel who are trained in Western equipment are not, Pakistani personnel are not mixed in Chinese equipment, and Chinese equipment personnel are not mixed in Western equipment personnel. And this is not the China's requirement, it is a American's requirement. These personnel enter and exit through different gates. They have a different gate for entry. So, udhar ek canal hai. If you just look at that Sargodha base very carefully, there is a canal, and on that there is a bridge, and that is where the gate for entry for these personnel trained in Chinese equipment. And both are, China and America have their strategic interest in Pakistan, because whether you like it or not, Pakistan is extremely strategically well placed. Had it been part of India, this strategic placement would have been enjoyed by India, because for America, fighting, see, they have not given up on Taliban as an enemy as yet. So for them to counter Taliban, they have only one foothold today, that is Pakistan. India is not going to allow them to attack any foreign country from their soil. Pakistan has been allowing them since Zia-ul-Haq. There was a guy called Charlie Vinson, a Texas governor. He's the one who set up these jihadi camps in the 80s. So for them, strategically, very, very important that they have a strategic presence all over Pakistan. For China, CPEC is important. So both of them have their strategic interest in Pakistan, and therefore both of them are like, teen boond jo dawai ke, they are keeping Pakistan alive, not allowing them to thrive, but not allowing Pakistan to die either. And the best part is both these countries have a stranglehold in terms of blackmail, in terms of money on their military. And they know full well that military is running the country and not the polity. Polity comes and goes. Military is like sort of permanent there. And when a general comes to a seat, he tries to sit there. The junior generals, they come up to that age and retire and go away. The senior general who was like Asim Munir and people like that, when they come and sit on top of the organization, they are not going to go away anywhere.
Because we started this conversation talking about opposition claims in parliament, and to fact check them, one of the comments made by the opposition in parliament and the opposition leader Rahul Gandhi yesterday said that he had warned Parliament of this China-Pakistan alliance, saying that it is going to be extremely dangerous for India, speaking about our foreign policy. Now, you said something interesting just now. You said strategically Pakistan is superbly placed because They have a strategic alliance with America. They have a strategic alliance with China. And as we speak, American commanders are in Pakistan. There's some sort of a training slash conference ongoing. There are people there in Pakistan. And China, we know has an interest and is an ally of Pakistan, right? Now, is the opposition wrong when it says that that is a very dangerous place to be in, to have China in bed with Pakistan?
Now, I have two aspects to this. A,
Don't be diplomatically correct. I know you'll try and be, but yeah.
I won't be.
Yeah.
I won't be. I'm saying this is not a eureka moment, and this is not something that the ruling polity does not know. It is like saying, Augustine, you're a dark-skinned guy. I know I'm a dark-skinned guy. Come on. So the polity, military, and the external affairs, they know full well what is being stated. So you are stating the obvious on the parliament, floor of the parliament. You got the point. That is one. Second aspect is, and that is the most important aspect, in my opinion, is that the relationship that Pakistan enjoys with the USA or Pakistan enjoys with China, as long as it does not affect me, how does it matter? Because remember, I've been saying
No,
this
no,
many,
no. Let
many
me pause you
times.
there. How do you say it doesn't affect us? It did affect us during Operation Sindoor.
As long as it doesn't affect us, I said. So I'll tell you the reason why I say this. I've said this many times. A broken Pakistan is not in India's interest. You will have, if you want an Eritrea next to your border, there is a problem. You will have many, many issues. Issues like, refugee problems and people jumping into your country and having a bad neighbor, economically bad neighbor, is not in your interest. It has been war gamed many times. So it is in your interest that Pakistan changes its course to not having terror as their mainstay and sort out issues with India. That is our aim. The current issues with India, if Pakistan sorts out today, it is in Pakistan's interest, not in India's interest. They will thrive as a nation because of their strategic placement. They will thrive as a nation. They are sitting, they enjoy very similar geostrategic placement like Turkey has. Turkey is gateway to both Asia and Europe, and it enjoys that status and is economically thriving sitting on that status. And something similar Pakistan can enjoy sitting astride Southeast Asia and the rest of the western part of the Asia. I mean, they're sitting next to Iran, the richest oil reserves that is there. They are sitting next to the Central Asian regions. Afghanistan, and a little ahead is Georgia, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, and all those. So if they sort out issues with India, it is in Pakistan's interest, and we are not averse to doing that. America, for example, it will not let the narco problem sorted out, because of the narco problem being there, बहुत लोगों की रोजी रोटी चलती है. मेक्सिको में भी चलती है, भारत में भी, सॉरी, अमेरिका में भी.
You're hoping
Correct?
Pakistan will turn a new leaf. I can't, I don't know. I mean, it's wishful thinking maybe. Now, I wanted to ask, is that why you see a shift perhaps in the way India is dealing with China? We have warmed up. I know we are making a point with China when Jaishankar said, the external affairs minister went to China, said he put India's point forward there, didn't attend Olympics. One of the comments that was made, obviously a reference to Sonia Gandhi attending the Beijing Olympics. She was invited, the secret agreement with the Chinese Communist Party. But do you see some sort of softening with China, some strategic, balancing happening now, or is that too much to be read into right now?
See, it has to happen. I'll tell you why it has to happen, because of two reasons, and I've probably written about it as well. See, China, a growing China and a growing India together can be a great counterbalance for a unipolar world. China understands that, India understands that. Otherwise, today it is US hegemony in the world. Not many people know that petrodollars. I mean, I saw when I was in US for a month, I saw how, without even working much towards improving their currency is so highly A, in demand, and B, has so much of power, because any country which buys oil in dollar is contributing towards dollar economy, petrodollars. The only way to go to stop the American hegemony, and thankfully, I mean, I sometimes I feel the divine intervention is there. Thankfully, Trump was doing exactly those things, which will pressure countries now to move away from dollar-based economy by putting so much of tariffs. LCA's fly-by-wire technology was supposed to come from US, and they put a sanction on us, and we did not have fly-by-wire. Aeroplane was ready to fly, no fly-by-wire. And this aeroplane is inherently an unstable aeroplane, like Mirage 2000, like Rafale. 2 years we lost. But we created our own fly-by-wire technology today. It is better than any technology in the world because we are operating those technology. We see those technologies. So our fly-by-wire, I've flown Mirage 2000. And the Tejas fly-by-wire is, light years ahead of Mirage 2000 fly-by-wire technology, which is French or European Union. So I think these trade tariffs will, over a period of a decade or two, slowly reduce the stranglehold that dollar has on world economy. And it is a natural progression that China and India come together in this region, because we are again sitting on the opposite side of globally on the opposite side of US, and able to, and two large populations. India and China put together is I think 1 in every 5 or 1 in every 4.
Okay. My last question to you, because you're a veteran, I'll ask you this question. Now, many claims were made on the floor of the House yesterday, day before, even today. Those claims continue to be made during the Operation Sindoor debate. Does it demoralize veterans, the forces, when you hear some comments that sometimes echo the enemy's narrative? And of course, PSYOPs, narrative building are part of warfare these days, and we saw it during Operation Sindoor. And when some in the opposition, or some parties, I'm not saying everybody in the opposition, some in the opposition speak that language, inadvertently or intentionally, does it affect the morale of forces?
I mean, very difficult question that you asked me, which touched my heart yesterday. And my wife was asking me, well, Dusty, why are you so quiet and sulking? I said, Varsha, this is what one of my representative of my people said so on the floor of the parliament, said it is a tamasha. It hit me like 10,000 bolt lightning on my head. I mean, most disrespectful comment that could have been made, and even coming outside, she repeated the same thing. She's not going to say sorry. And imagine daughter of Shinde, an Epo kid, doing this. Very, very, extremely sad. And I mean, it was picked up by Pakistanis, and they're, hitting sixers after sixers using her statement and other statements. If I were opposition, I would have played to the gallery. In my case, the gallery is people. I would have, found out what is the general mood of the people and played there. If I was opposition, I would have let people who went outside the country, taking India's vision and the viewpoint, start the entire parliament proceedings, like Tharoor and Supriya Sule and Manish Tiwari. भारत का रहने वाला हूँ, भारत की बात करता हूँ. So these people, had they started and softened up the ground, take wind out of the sail from the ruling party, not letting them test chest pump, and getting TRF on the mat is an achievement of opposition. It is not the achievement of ruling party. They didn't even use one iota of that achievement. In fact, my father's side, we come from that part of Kerala, a very small village near Thrissur, where they have been, Congress people for many, many years. And our own family in my village is three-fourths of the village because of my grandmother who had 12 children and all her children had so many children and she lived 104. Even them, and I'm the only Fauji from my village. So they look up to me. And at least 10 of them called me and said, sorry, Bhaiya, Cheta, sorry, this is what I heard. And they are moving away. A core voter base.
Yeah, I hope better sense prevails. It's for some reason when you listen to opposition speeches, sometimes you feel they are opposing for the sake of opposing, and in the process making very critical mistakes that most often demoralize not just people but even our armed forces, without whom, of course, we would never be safe. So my intention was simple: to get you on here and make sense of what the opposition said, whether they're factually correct, wrong, right, or peddling a narrative. Interesting talking to you. Group Captain Augustine Vinod. We'll catch up again. Thank you very much.